Ooh. Oh. Ta-da!
Hello, thank you for joining me in today's review of the Blick Studio art markers. Setting up for this video series, I created a color swatch chart for all of the colors using spheres which were shaded in with multiple passes to provide an accurate color representation ranging from single pass to heavy use. This process made it clear that the numbering convention of the markers makes no sense as a whole, seeming almost completely random. Further, I created a digital file of these swatches that are individually named and numbered, so that I could use them to show the colors being used in the tutorials and demonstrations. It was this file that made the absence of a color and number for 071 apparent. That discovery led me to go do some research on the Blick site, which brings me to the history of Blick Studio art markers, according to me. Accuracy not guaranteed. Throughout this video series, I have been referring to the markers as Blick Studio art markers, but they have actually been named Blick Studio brush markers since the brush tips were added. Going back, over a decade ago, I bought my first set of 96 colors, which were these Blick Studio double-ended markers, featuring round barrels with bullet and chisel tips. This old style is now only available in 48 individual colors, and is no longer available in any kind of set. 7 or 8 years ago, Blick replaced the bullet tip with the brush tip, and adopted the Copic barrel design to become the Blick Studio brush markers I've been using throughout the series. I also found these Blick Studio double-ended alcohol art markers, and that's a mouthful, which appear to be an updated design of the original set and still have the bullet and chisel tips. I know that the original markers, which are now only available in 48 colors, use the same ink and color numbering as the current brush markers, which leads me to believe that the Blick Studio double-ended alcohol art markers are also the same. Okay, that concludes my history lesson on the Blick alcohol markers. Let's take a look at the Blick Studio brush markers, starting with their physical characteristics. They have rectangular barrels that are beveled along the edges, making them easy to hold and less likely to slip out of our grip. The markers are dual-tipped with a brush on one side and a felt chisel on the other. The barrel features markings to identify the tips, which helps to reduce the minor annoyance of popping the cap on the wrong tip when you're preparing to use the marker. The set has been expanded to 144 colors, which is an increase of almost 50 colors since I purchased my set of 96. Each color has a number assignment, though most of the numbers seem random. The most organized part of the set appears to be the cool and warm grays, which run sequentially from start to finish. I suspect this numbering issue was caused by numbering for small sets of markers early on and combining those into the much larger sets later on, with the newly added colors having even crazier number schemes, with many of the new colors being numbered in the 500s. The 96 color set is actually 95 colors with a colorless blender, which performs more like an eraser. I do cover the usage of the colorless blender in the tutorials and demonstrations of this video series. The Blick Studio brush markers are alcohol-based and refillable. Refill bottles can be purchased for every marker in the set. The Blick Studio brush markers are open stock, which means markers and refills can be purchased individually. As of making this video, only chisel replacement tips are available in packs of 3, and they appear to be discontinued. The brush tip on my sand number 078 marker crumbled while making the chart for this series, which provided me with a great opportunity to share the replacement process. At the time of filming, I had already been using these markers for 6 years, so the need to replace a brush tip is not something you should have to worry about right out of the box. However, it is worth noting now, you cannot get brush tips for these markers anymore. The The Blick Studio brush markers can blend with each other, and their performance is affected by the paper they are used on. I have had the best results with marker paper. I've had good results on standard copy or cartridge paper, like you would use in your home printer or a photocopying machine, and bristle board. Very rough, porous papers will produce faded, stroke-ridden results. Given the success that I've had with marker paper, I thought the shiny side of poster board would be a great surface for using these markers, and boy was I wrong. The results are messy, they don't look good, and so I do not recommend using them on poster board. The marker ink fades only slightly after several years, and I offer these side-by-side scans of my marker swatches as an example. Handily enough, I had scanned the new swatch sheet shortly after making it, which allows me to scan it again for this video, which shows the ink aging over the course of a year. But I also have these square swatches, which were created with what are now called Blick Studio double-ended alcohol markers, and these swatches are about 16 years old, and they would have probably been created with the chisel tip on those markers. As you can see, the ink holds up pretty well over time. Now, by this point, you've probably seen and heard enough to decide whether or not you would like to use the Blick Studio brush markers in your own art. But I will go ahead and list all of the features that I see as positive and negative. The positives of the Blick Studio brush markers are good blendability, proven durability and longevity, available as open stock or sets, refills, replacement nibs, and an expanding color set. The negatives about these markers are the random numbering of colors, the large jumps in hue, replacement nibs being discontinued or completely unavailable seems to be a big problem as well. I like the way these markers perform, and I was happy enough with the original set that I bought the new set along with ink refills when Blick added the brush tips. I definitely recommend these markers if you're looking to experiment with alcohol markers in your own art. However, I would advise caution because it seems as though maybe these markers are being discontinued. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful in deciding whether or not you want to try the Blick Studio brush markers, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and click the bell icon to be notified as my new videos come out. Thank you to my Patreon patrons. Your continued support helps me to keep making new art and new videos, and I really appreciate you. If you would like to become a Patreon patron, you can join me at patreon.com/EricPerkinsArtist. In addition, you can get a 32-page PDF download of my fantasy coloring book, which has been featured in this series. Thank you again, and I hope to see you in my next video.